Hello students, welcome back to your English literature class. We were reading about Marie Curie. We got to know a lot of things about her. A lot of information have been provided to us by Eve Curie in this biography. So in the previous class we had stopped at the portion where we found, dressed in her old dust-covered smock, her hair would be blown by the wind, she would be surrounded by bitter smoke, yet nothing could stop her, nothing could deter her from working hard in her scientific experiments. And she would look like a virtual factory all by herself while conducting these experiments. Children, virtual factory, here virtual factory has a significant meaning. What is a factory? If I ask you, you would say it's a building which has got some equipments inside it. There are people who work in it, and the entire process is to produce something, to give out an output, to yield something. Here, Marie was a virtual factory all by herself. So anybody, any onlooker who would look at Marie working with all her devotion in the laboratory would feel that she was a virtual factory by herself. Virtual means something which is not physically before us, yet it is the existence of it is relevant due to certain aspects of which are present before us. Like this is a virtual class for you. Although I don't sit before you physically, I am not standing before you physically in order to explain the lesson to you, yet you can see me through some mode, that is this hardware, through some, obviously through the network and all other things which are required in order to let me reach to you. So this is a virtual class for you. Similarly, Marie looked like a virtual factory all by herself. So her efforts in trying to produce something would make one feel as if she was a virtual factory all by herself. She was herself the building, she was herself the person who was working in the factory, and she had her own equipments. Therefore she was so keen on trying to produce or yield something, and this is why this expression stands apt or suitable here in this context. Let's begin today from page 34. Open your books at page 34, children. Money for research was not easy to come by, and the Curies continued to teach to supplement their income. Torn between their own work and their jobs, they often forgot to eat and sleep. Thus, radioactivity grew and developed, meanwhile exhausting little by little the pair of physicists who had given it life. Now, money was one important factor. Money, in fact, is an important factor for any kind of work that we want to do, right? Even this was a challenge faced by the Curies. Money for research work was not easy to come. It wasn't easy for them to use enough money to procure enough money so that it could be used in their research work, in their experiments. In order to conduct an experiment, you need a proper setup. We need a lot of equipments, a lot of chemicals, a lot of things which are to be used in the experiment, right? Now, in order to get all these things, in order to have all these things or buy these things, you need money. So this was a big challenge that the Curies had faced. They did not have money enough in order to continue with their research work, and as a result of which they continued to teach. Like I said again, they found ways, isn't it? We know there's a common saying, where there is a will, there is a way. Because they had the strong will and determination, hence they started to teach in order to supplement their income. So so that they would have they could add a certain amount to their income, as such that their experiments would go on smoothly. Both of them started teaching. Torn between their own work and their jobs, torn between, this expression talks about how difficult time was for them. Difficult in the sense, the kind of hard work and the struggle they put in, okay, that they would be so busy working day and night, at their laboratory, as well as at, working for their jobs. They were also employed in another place in the university. In fact, they often forgot to eat and sleep. Such was the devotion that they would forget to eat, they would forget to sleep. They would deprive themselves of these because the first focus for them was to finish this experiment. Thus radioactivity grew. So with all devotion, radioactivity, their experiments on radioactivity grew gradually, exhausting little by little the pair of physicists. So they as human beings, because they had put in their 200% to this, little by little they also got exhausted and tired out of this difficult job that they have employed themselves into, the passion that they were working into. Finally, they achieved the miraculous outcome of their effort of purifying radium. Radium could become the ally of human beings in the war against cancer. So finally, what they did was they achieved the miraculous outcome of their effort. Okay, miraculous means magical outcome of their effort of purifying radium. So this is what they were working for. They were trying to find out ways to purify radium such that radium could be used for various purposes, especially in the medical field, by human beings. Radium could become the ally of human beings in the war against cancer. They realized that the strong rays which were emitted by radium could be used for treating cancer, for fighting against this deadly disease, cancer, this fatal disease that had already started taking many lives. Radium was useful, magnificently useful. A radium industry was about to be born. So with radium, with ways of purifying radium once being discovered, radium was now to be spread in various industry, and an entire radium industry was almost, one could see it ushering to be born. Pierre explained these things to his wife one Sunday morning. We have two choices, Pierre told her. We can describe the results of our research without reserve, including the process of purification, or else we can consider ourselves to be the proprietors, the inventors of radium, patent the technique and manufacture radium throughout the world. So Pierre one morning, one Sunday morning, he explained the potentiality of this particular element that they had discovered. He speaks to Marie in terms of how potential it was, in terms of how they could actually use it. So he says that we have two choices, okay, in terms of using radium. We can describe the results of our research without reserve, including the process of purification. So the first was, write down a number 1 on top of that. We can describe the results. He said that whatever research we have done until now, the process of purification, these are to be laid in written, and these are to be openly described to people, so that radium in its purified form could be easily used. So this was one way, which means that they would not keep it as something secret to themselves, rather they would reveal it to the world, its usage to the world. And the next, he said, number 2, else we can consider, from here the second choice begins, we can consider ourselves to be the proprietors. So he says that else what we can do is we can consider ourselves to be the sole proprietors. Sole proprietors means the sole owners, the only people who would keep their research work a secret, who would not reveal what methods they have used in order to purify the element, and therefore they would remain as the inventors of radium, patent the technique. Patent the technique means that they would officially hold the rights of knowing the technique of purifying it, and this would not be known to anybody else in the world. So this is another choice Pierre said they had, and this is how they would manufacture radium throughout the world. Marie reflected for a few seconds, then she said, it is impossible. it would be contrary to scientific spirit. Marie, again being a very, very noble spirit, she says that it is impossible to keep this a secret to us. We have devoted our life in discovering something beneficial for mankind, and once, now that we have discovered it, keeping the process a secret to us alone is totally against the spirit of science. This would be against the integrity of Mary, against her honor, against her spirit to keep it as a secret, because that she had devoted her life in discovering this element was not because she had her selfish motives behind it. It was not that she had discovered it because she alone wanted to reap the advantage of it. Not at all. She wanted to do this because she wanted to do something for the world, for man in general. Hence, she could not even think of keeping it a secret to herself. See, they knew that once this would be, revealed to the world, people would make the most use of this element in various ways so that this would benefit mankind. Hence, there was no question at all of keeping it a secret. This is what Marie thought. Pierre's serious face lightened. Pierre, who was not sure what Marie's answer would be, probably he thought she would say yes or no. Would she be happy with this, or keeping it a secret, or she would not reveal the secret, or she would keep it to herself. He wasn't very sure of it. But then the gravity on his face lightened up on finding how noble her thoughts were, and that she was a woman who was beyond selfish motives. All that she wanted to do was do something for human beings, discover something really beneficial for human beings, something worthy for human beings, so that it could benefit mankind. Okay, let's stop here, children. I would like to end here today. Read this portion. These two choices are very important. Understand this, what Marie really meant to say. We shall meet in our literature class very soon. Please tell me whatever your doubts are whenever you listen to these explanations. Write down your doubts so that when we meet in the class, you can clarify them. So, until we meet the next day, children, bye-bye. Thank you. Have a nice day.